It's not the way it used to be, Old Man Warner said clearly. People ain't the way they used to be.
The interesting thing about the story for me was that I didn't get a clue. I was hopeful for a long time.
I was pretty surprised by the ending. I was confused.
There's something kind of unbelievable about the story. And it's like I would go back to check details or almost for credibility. Had I read it accurately, would I remember this?
The morning of June 27th was clear and sunny, with the fresh warmth of a full summer day. The flowers were blossoming profusely, and the grass was richly green.
You think of this community of, a small community of 300 people, and you see some of the life that they have there, and it seems pretty normal.
The details were all like so-and-so still doing the dishes, or is so-and-so here, or they begin gathering, and what the box was like, and at other towns they're stopping.
The beginning of the story, for me, were just boys trying to entertain themselves during a during a boring town meeting or something.
The area in which they're gathering is where they have a lot of their dances and events. So you think of festivity and a culture of people gathering together.
The whole theme that kept running through the story about, well, we can get this over with and everybody can get back to work.
The stone detail was out of place in that. School kids starting to collect stones made me very nervous.
The children assembled first, of course. School was recently over for the summer, and the feeling of liberty sat uneasily on most of them. Bobby Martin had already stuffed his pockets full of stones, and the other boys soon followed his example, selecting the smoothest and roundest stones.
Throughout the story, there's a reference to these stones, and I totally overlooked the stones. I just related it to the children, I think.
For me, that was a setup. That was that there was going to be something incongruent about that whatever happened was going to be completely incongruent with everybody going about their normal business.
He broke his leg, hasn't he? Who's drawing for him? Me, I guess, a woman said, and Mr. Summers turned to look at her. Wife draws for her husband, Mr. Summers said. Don't you have a grown boy to do it for you, Janie?
And then at the end, you start to really understand, at the very end, you start to understand that there's something else going on and it's more violent than you had imagined.
Soon the men began to gather, surveying their own children, speaking of planting and rain, tractors and taxes. They stood together, away from the pile of stones in the corner, and their jokes were quiet, and they smiled rather than laughed.